How are you? It's so nice to see you. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here with you again. It's been a few years since we were here on the show, sharing with the community. And well, after all these years, to be back here with you is an honor. And with the Ovitron community, which I love. By the way, congratulations to you and the whole community. Why? Exactly. We were just talking a moment ago about 1,000 users already subscribed on YouTube. I love it. And I love being part of this community too.
Excellent, Rubén. Well, guys, for those who didn't hear me, sorry, I had the microphone off. It's crazy, my internet has been acting up right before we went live. But here we are, guys. As I said, today, we'll talk about some myths and beliefs regarding the use of Windows and its impact on both individual users and entrepreneurs, alongside this great friend. You all heard Rubén, right, guys? Just give me a thumbs up to see if everything's perfect. Yes. I think that's it, that thumbs up. Perfect, great. Luis Bell, how's it going, my friend? Very good, welcome, thank you. Alfredo Hacker, greetings to everyone who has joined us on the staff. It's really going to be a very entertaining stream, okay? As I said, my good friend Rubén Colomo is with me, right? With experience at Microsoft? Because my good friend worked at Microsoft, Samsung Electronics Mexico. He's a digital mentor and the author of Digitalize Your Freedom. We're going to talk about that important part, my good friend Rubén. If you're an entrepreneur, you can't miss everything that our good friend Rubén brings us in terms of knowledge, experience, and expertise. Well, my good friend Rubén is going to share with us the 4 powers of success in business. It's a very valuable conference for all entrepreneurs. So if you're not on this train yet, I invite you to hop on. All right. Well, Rubén, my brother, welcome to your home. My friend, welcome.
1,000 thanks again. As I was saying, Victor, thank you so much for the invitation. I think they can hear us now. I was watching the stream and I believe it's coming through well. So, I'm happy. And as you said, well, helping entrepreneurs, helping business owners with different topics, right? And we also talked about the topic of Windows, which we'll cover later from different options that are available. Which ones are good and which ones are not. But in the same way, as you said, how to help the entrepreneur, how to help the business owner in this fast-paced world, because that's the truth. In fact, it was estimated that the acceleration, the adoption of the digital world would come the late 2020s. That is 2029, early 2030, and the pandemic, well, it really kicked the digitalization into high gear. It accelerated, and today we live in a digital world. Remembering a conference that Bill Gates gave in the 90s, can you believe it, since the 90s? The vision he had where he said, if your business is not on the internet, your business doesn't exist. And today it's more real than ever. Today you absolutely have to have a presence. Webtalker presence. Today, the yellow section that we knew, those of us who are my contemporaries, who are here, some contemporary, well, we saw a yellow section that was a thick book that today only serves as a partition. But if someone has it as history, but today it's Google. Today, the yellow pages is Google. Today, we look for everything through the internet.
Exactly. The truth is, yes, you're absolutely right. The cream of the crop, as my good friend Rubén says. Guys, so many things, right? Wow, the pandemic was for many a terrible thing, a horrifying thing, but for others it was really something we thought was unthinkable. And it made us evolve. And we evolved. It's Rubén. That's right. Well. Guys, we're going to we have a new subscriber on the channel, our good friend Alexis. Welcome to the community. Luis Belgrasso is there, very strong. Our good friend Luis Bell, Commander-in-Chief, moderator here in the community. Sure. How's it going, buddy? Very good, welcome. Friends, we're going to have a really good Q&A session with our friend Rubén. Yes, not only from the Windows realm, which is obviously the reason for this streaming, but also, if you have any questions, any advice you want for your business, or, well, if you say, Victor, I don't have a business, but you know what? I have my uncle, I have my aunt, I have a relative, I have a friend, a colleague, a teacher who is starting a business. Well, bring it closer to Rubén Colomo. Wow, he is a super digital strategist, and he's going to give a tremendous dose of intellect so that he can have much more success and impact in what he's starting. Well, let's see. Let's get started. Let's put that meat on the grill, my dear Rubén. Let's debunk the first belief we have here, the taboo that today we have countless social media platforms. And well, from certain influencer people who unfortunately, due to not being well informed, but because they have good speaking skills and a pretty face, unfortunately, they inform them, maybe not their purpose, not the reason for being, but that's the point, right? And that brings us to this number one belief, guys. The editions. Are these light editions the same or just as good as an original Windows, my dear Rubén? From your perspective, did you get to know Microsoft from the inside?
Look, it's a very good question, and it's an opportunity for the different sizes of businesses. Indeed, a regular Windows 10 is not going to work the same as a light version. The Windows Lite is like a mobile version. It's a lightweight version for a tablet, exactly. It has the features of a traditional Windows, but not with all those capabilities. In other words, you can run a Windows Lite on a machine, on a computer, let's say old. I mean, a Pentium, a 386 back in those days, when the operating system, if you want to run it today, with 2 GB of RAM, it won't run. The Windows Live City won't run because it doesn't require as many resources. It doesn't demand as many resources as the normal or traditional operating system that we know today. And that comes in computers, in laptops, when we first buy them from the factory, from companies, from brands like Dell, IBM, Toshiba. Companies from brands like Dell, IBM, Toshiba, all of them come with the original Windows, which is a Windows that requires quite a lot of resource. And the light version is not. The light is, just as its name suggests, a lighter version, a mobile version.
Exactly, my friends. Yes. Well, listen up, guys. Ale, this is coming from an expert. Ale, this isn't coming from Victor Sanchez or some random person. No. Ale is telling you this from someone who worked. Well, let's see, Rubén, how long did you work? And in what department at Microsoft, my friend?
Look, I joined Microsoft in 2007. And I was there in the same area, in the same department, which was DPE. That's what it was called, DPE, which was the technology evangelism. But when we talked about evangelism in Mexico, it obviously resonated with the religious aspect, right? To the part about doctrine or the like. Exactly, it's that everyone who is evangelized, however, at the end of the day, the word evangelism, today, we often link it a lot with religions. But evangelizing doesn't just mean the religious aspect. Evangelizing is educating, it's teaching, it's showing, it's preaching by example, not with the word of God or the word of the supreme being you believe in, but it's teaching something that can be useful to you. So I was in the technical engineering part, focused on the technology professionals, the infrastructure part, servers, networks, operating systems, everything that had to do with infrastructure is what I was looking at with a community focus. In the end, in that DPE area, we focused on working with the communities of technology professionals that we had. When DP Mexico, in Mexico, right? But just like that, Microsoft's headquarters had a DP area focused on its country, and together it was obviously a global community. It was precisely the globalized one. So yeah, I was there until 2015.
Awesome, my brother. So, it also coincided with the stardom of Global Azure and all that part from 2000 and...
Since Windows Vista, Windows 7, less so with 8, cloud computing, that's right. All the transition from private cloud to hybrid cloud to public cloud or cloud.
All the transition from private cloud to hybrid cloud to public cloud or cloud. Well. And wow, Ruben, there are just so many things. So much to share. So much to say. So, no, it's just that, guys, I'm excited. Rubén Colomo, when obviously we weren't a small channel. Luis B, the older folks in the channel will know us. We had an interview with our good friend Rubén Colomo. He had a full schedule. You have no idea how many times I knocked on that phone door. Hey, is it okay now? Can we do it now? Still not possible. There were a ton of things, but look, after how many years we're bringing together one of the titans, one of the great titans we have here, which is Rubén Colomo. Guys, regarding the topic and the importance of exploring these versions of Windows Live, as our good friend Rubén puts it, well, do you see any advantages, Rubén, in having these types of light or modified versions of our Windows? Even though many still take it and say and wave the flag like, well, hopefully Mr. Bill Gates won't sell it, right? But that part of, hey, is this modified Windows better, or is this cleaned up Windows better than what Microsoft itself delivers? What do you think about that?
Very good point, Victor. It is a very, very good point, because many times we think that it is. I've heard, not me, but I've heard that sometimes people say the modified Windows I have is better than the original. And although Microsoft opened that part of saying, okay, we are going to allow modified versions to be made, obviously, on the one hand, since they are not licensed, they do not have the Windows license as such. It is an open Windows, a modified Windows. But at the end of the day, also when you put a modified Windows, you do not have all the updates that you have with a traditional Windows, an original Windows 10 or 11. If they are constantly sending you updates, then a modified version, that may be a version, is not bad, but I would not use it in a company. I would not use it in a company because obviously it is modified. If I'm not an expert engineer in all the development, I could leave open doors when modifying it. I could open doors without realizing it. Or I can let someone come in and open the door.
That instead of having the super biometric padlock and so on, you leave a grandfather's lock and...
Or they leave a smart lock there, but with the basic code of 000, and you just walk in. I mean, it's like having a phone without, just slide it and unlock it.
Up to that point, yes, yes, definitely. And yes, Rubén, go ahead. Sorry.
I can use it for testing. I can use a modified version. Yes, I can use it at home to test software and everything. Yes, I would use it there, but to tell a company, put this Windows, the tiny 10 or the mini OS, well, no, the truth is I wouldn't give that to a company. I would rather tell him, you know what? Invest in your equipment with licensing so that you have updates, be security and full protection that your business, your databases, and your clients require. If not, you're leaving doors open.
No, and the truth is you are absolutely right, Rubén, because, well, these are certain disadvantages, from security issues to the loss of a key functionalities that are essential for a corporation. Hey, now I know that in very specific companies, or when we're just starting out, especially here in Mexico, that regulatory part isn't really in place yet, right? But what about the audit? If a modified version is being used, right? More so, not sponsored or licensed by people who are directly with Microsoft. It represents a huge fine or even legal problems.
Sure. Look, there are many who say, well, we're in Mexico. Well, yes, but still, if one has values, then one also has ethics. As a professional, I would say, well, you know what? Well, I'm infringing. How do I want my business to grow? I mean, I think that's the question. How do you want your business to grow? And what would happen if you, who have a product, who have a service, someone will offer it for free? How would you feel if what you do was done by someone else, and instead of paying for a license, they paid you for a service? Free, or cheaper, or without it? Well, the methodology, for example, of a mentorship, but without the appropriate step-by-step security, professionalism. Well, I wouldn't want to grow my company focused on growth. I'm not going to say illegal. Well, a modified growth, a growth this that is not based on professional standards. So, I mean, beyond whether it's modified or not, professional.
Well, exactly, Ruben, that's true. And well, now, regarding that, it's perfect because we're looking at it from a business perspective, but there are going to be friends here. How's it going? My dear Gustavo, Jesus, Robert, Victor Garcia, Gilberto, thank you for joining us here in the chat. There are going to be people who say, hey, well, Ruben, but I don't need it for a company or for my business or for the company I work for. I use it for myself. As an end user, as a final consumer for me, but for you.
I mean, my question would be, well, what? Everything. Are you going to put everything into a system that can have, and as it was said there, I think it was Gilberto who said that, right? With caps. I mean, leaving the door open for someone to come in and then, okay, you don't have your company stuff there, of course, but you have your own contacts, you have your accounting information, your access to applications, because also don't just think about the computer itself. Don't think about what you have on this computer in front of you. Think that this computer is on your network and that all the devices on your network are also accessible. So many times it's nothing. It's just that at home you also have devices and you have valuable information for you. If your identity is stolen, they steal your accounting schemes, they steal your banking information. I mean, it's putting unnecessary risk. Because in the end, if you're going to buy a computer, buy it with the original system. I mean, don't make it a hack job anymore. And if you're going to make it a hack job, come buy an original operating system that has security. And I'm not just talking about Windows or any operating system, but buy it, get an original license because you have a secure foundation. That is the security that you're protected. Sure, if you're an expert user in technology, an expert in operating systems, okay. I mean, a modifier, let's say your own security, set up your DMZ, build a whole secure environment, sure. But most people, we're not, I mean, that aspect. It should be. Rather, it is the exception to the rule.
There, Ruben, and they're also going to ask because they're already telling me right now through internal Guantanamo, hey, but then why does Microsoft give us tools to modify them?
Let's see. You as a developer, you can create a modified version so you can run tests, so you can test your software, the software that you're making. I leave it open for you to be able to add the libraries that you use. But one thing is to use Windows with tools to modify it. And another is for me to install it at the company's borders. I mean, I run tests, I modify Windows, right? I can modify it to test my software with my libraries. And obviously, when modifying it, I'm also aware that one of the things I'm going to check when modifying is to keep all the doors secure. Don't open it. It's like back then, well, just like years ago, and today too, when you go to the malls, I don't know, and you find windows. They don't call it very well the pirated windows. Let's call it by its name, an illegal windows. What do you think? Many say, oh, it's illegal. I got it for 100 pesos on this corner of the software, right? Yes, of course, but what do you think? The one who is selling it to you, they are not giving it to you for 100 pesos out of good vibes. They put malware on it. They put a Trojan on it so that when you install it, all that information will also go there. Because where he is going to earn is not from the 100 pesos that the CD cost you. He is going to earn from all the information that he is going to capture from what you, for not having a license, you're handing it over to them.
And that's where that part comes in, right? It's just that it came out for me sometimes. Maybe there's no charge involved, but it came out free for me. But that's also where there's a point. Hey Ruben, since I can remember, and guys, you can also help me out here in the chat. The download of Windows is free. Download the Windows ISO, you go to the Microsoft portal and download it for free.
Yes.
It doesn't cost anything. Yeah, that's why, but it's like sometimes they take certain terms out of context and say, no, it's just that here, no, little buddy from the corner or from this bazaar, I'm not covering anything.
The download is free, but you have to activate it with a code. Sometimes at those software corners, well, they also give you a code. They say use this code, yeah, and that's fine. It's a code that you use to unlock it so that it becomes active software, but it's not licensed. And the code that the developers who are dedicated to hacking give you is obviously also used, because that code also activates doors so that they can enter your computer without you realizing that they are entering, and that not even the antivirus detects it because they see it as a door. Sure, a door that opened traditionally, there's no risk. So that's also the issue. And here someone is asking us, yeah, I don't know, NCK, is the OM license valid for auditing? Sure. In fact, they are the ones that come with the equipment. When you buy a device, it comes with an OEM license.
What he's referring to, Jesus, you see, there are portals on the internet directly. Well, because for us to purchase licensing from Microsoft, if it's distributions or editions for the end consumer, we go directly to the Microsoft store. But what about editions like Enterprise, like LTC, like Windows Server? It has to be directly with the distribution line. But have there been platforms, online stores, right now? It's even available on Amazon or Mercado Libre here in Mexico, where they sell very cheap digital licenses, almost a fraction of what they cost with an official Microsoft distributor. Those could help us be audited in some audit tomorrow, or present some shortcomings that don't tell us what's going on with the licenses.
You know, that's a good point, Victor. Now that you mention it like that, what you need to validate is that he is selling it to you. Yes, it's on Amazon, okay? But maybe the one selling to you on Amazon is a Microsoft partner who is selling you the OM license, which is a license for manufacturers. That's why the OM usually comes with the computer. When you go and buy at your preferred store, a Dell brand, an IBM brand, an HP brand, Lenovo, whichever you want, that tells you it comes with Windows. That license that comes with Windows is OEM. Because the OEM is precisely the topic of original equipment manufacturers, which is the license supplied to equipment manufacturers. So you would have to see if you're going to buy an OEM license, well, people are selling it. Because maybe it was someone who said, oh, look, 50 machines arrived at the company, and guess what? There are only 20 users. Well, I already have 30 licenses to sell them outside. Look, I'm not saying that all companies do it, but there are definitely some people who do it. Indeed, there are people who do it. I mean, yes, there are those kinds of problems, so you have to see where it comes from. If they tell you it's OEM, well, yes. And what happens if I grab right now I don't know, let's make it clear, center, and I disguised it as a Ferrari. I mean, it's a Ferrari. Obviously, it's not going to be a Ferrari, right? So it also depends on where it comes from. You have to apply. The licenses they're not sold. Loose by anyone. I mean, it has to be a license from a Microsoft partner.
There you go, guys, a good reflection that our good friend Rubén Colomo just made. It's the importance of choosing those stable and secure solutions, guys, especially in environments. Business environments, or as a final consumer, just like that. Just like Rubén Colomo, he expresses very well what it is as a digital strategy, guys. Just like in business, cheap can end up being very expensive. And very expensive.
Expensive?
Totally. Prioritizing quality and long-term security is key, guys. Just like in any business, right, Rubén?
That's right. Everything. No, it's not just the operating system license. We talked about everything. The operating system license, of course, the Office license, the AutoCAD license at that time, the Photoshop license. A lot of people would say, oh no, it's too expensive. I'd rather buy it for 20 pesos on a platform that sells it for 20. They're not selling you the original. If the original costs 20,000 pesos, do you really think a valid license is going to cost you 20 pesos or 100 pesos? Unless it's maybe a valid license, if it's an original license, yes. But someone took it from a place where it wasn't supposed to be, right? Exactly. I mean, it happens everywhere. It happens with food, it happens everywhere. Suddenly, truck thefts, just like that. Everything inside a truck gets stolen and sold. These phones, this clothing, licenses, of course. Nowadays, it's harder to get a license because you buy it online. It doesn't come in a little box like it used to a few years ago, but at the end of the day, someone is taking it from a database, from a truck, from wherever you're getting it.
Here, our good friend Intel team says, if I use an OEM license to sell for $10 for a home computer, what would be the problem then?
It's that the OEM license, as I told you, an OEM license is from the manufacturer. That OEM license is held by an equipment manufacturer. You don't have it on the market. Public. It's a license that's made for the equipment. If I manufacture equipment, I have to deliver it to you with an operating system. If not, selling you a machine is useless. I'll give it to you with an OEM operating system.
And now, Rubén, a case happened a couple of years ago with a colleague who worked in computer forensics. And it turns out that just like you, he got a batch, and suddenly it seemed like a good deal. Hey, he got a batch, extracted the licenses, and started selling them. But what that friend in computer forensics didn't consider was that those computers were kind of already wiped because they had done something illegal, right? A check or a bank and so on. So what happens? They start dragging licensing issues, and the people who sold that license found themselves in trouble with that part. But he says, I only sold one license. No, yes. But how many people did you affect by making that decision? Right.
And let's see, in that aspect, because there are questions that do come up in audits. Look, the audit isn't just going to come and say, let me see if your license or if your computer has legal software. It's going to come in and a software will be installed that will pull the entire audit to see how many machines have licenses, how many machines have Windows, and it will say, okay, show me your purchased licenses, and they have to match the installed licenses, or you should have more purchased than installed. Because it also doesn't mean that every license has a code. You can buy a licensing code for 20 devices if they have the same code that was entered, but that device says it is for 20. Hey, if I install a 21st one, it won't let me. Yes, it will let you install it. But when an audit comes, it will say, okay, you have 21 installations. Show me your paperwork. That says you have 21 licenses. Hey, I don't have it. Then you are in violation there. So that's why when it tells you here is the code, yes, the code. But that code doesn't mean that you're installing legal software on your computer as such. It has a license, yes, but that code was from a license that, as you said, they already banned the machine and banned the license.
There's the point, guys. So right now, guys, modified versions can be very attractive. They can be lightweight. But you've seen all the details that are involved. We need to value stability, security, and the tools you use for your work. Okay, and to get into the questions that you guys are asking here in the chat, let's follow up with belief number 2. So this belief ties in very well with what my good friend Angel just said. And I think my good friend Gustavo also asked about belief number 2. With pirated Windows, I have the same as the legal version, just for free. What do you say to that, Ruben?
Who is it? You have the same thing? And what do you think? You have the same and more. And why more? Because you have more viruses, because you have a higher chance of being hacked, because you have a higher chance of being robbed. Of course, I mean, yes, a pirated license, yes. At the end of the day, like I said a moment ago, it's a code that if they haven't banned it, okay, it will let you have an active Windows. But that software you installed from a box, that you installed from a USB, that you installed from a pirated source, comes with malware. I go back to what I was saying before. The fact that they give it to you for $100 isn't because they're a charity brother who doesn't want to make a profit. The business they have is that when you install it, it will start sending information or it will slow down your machine, leaving it vulnerable. I mean, it comes with additional stuff. I mean, the pirated version will always come with something extra, some vitamin or some mineral, guys. Exactly. And at coli, a salmonella, tuberculosis, something extra, it's going to bring you.
My good friend Gabriel Coloma says almost like Rubén Colomo. Hello. So, what difference is there, Ruben, between an OEM license and a retail one?
The OEM license and the retail license, retail isn't necessarily from the manufacturer. Retail is a Microsoft partner that sells software. I mean, it's a partner. They don't sell you the equipment as such, but they do sell you the licenses. That's retail. Retail can also be retail, like a Sam's. Retail is the box. Well, it's that right now there are no boxes, but retail is the little box we used to see for Office 2000 at Sam. That was a retail license.
My good friend Gustavo also says, here in Chile, they sell licenses for $20 that you have to call Microsoft to validate without any issues.
Okay. We'll have to see what version of Windows it is. Maybe it's a Windows version before the one we were looking at for the project for equipment or earlier Windows version. Maybe it's a Windows XP they're selling you for $20.
My good friend from the Intel team says, so why has Microsoft never said anything about those OEM licenses that are sold for $10 on different websites or on the sites we have today?
Let's see. Many times it's hard to control all of that. I mean, one might say Microsoft doesn't care. If the software is sold legally, you might say, well, it's not that they don't care, it's just that monitoring everything is really difficult and it's obviously quite exhausting. Let me give you an example that doesn't have to do with the operating system. Let me give you an example that has to do with my book. The one called Digitize Your Freedom. I'm launching it. The global design team is supporting me. We're launching the book, all on Amazon. Awesome. Good. What do you think I started to see 7 days after launching the book? My book in PDF, format in different places. Even one of them, I won't mention brands because I don't want to get into that. But one of them was selling it for even more than I was. I was successfully doing the launch. I launched my publication at $35 for the launch, and I had it at $35 for 15 days. Well, you know, this particular store that released it in PDF format had it listed for the exact price of $100.
That's a crazy thing, guys.
Who has it to start suing them? Because they have it. Look, I could do it, yes. If I had a law firm that said, let everyone find out who is selling to them so they can bring them to me and sue them. I'm going to waste more time emotional exhaustion, looking to see who has it, then the publicity it's going to give me, then everything being okay, buy it there, perfect, buy it there. At the end of the day, they are going to read me. And the contact they are going to have at the end of the book is with me. You say it's not going to be worth it to be with lawyers looking into this? Of course, there is an anti-piracy department at Microsoft. There definitely is, trying to eradicate them. But you can't catch everything. So you have to keep an eye on it, just like with the issues of how much pirated product is out there, whether you can buy it, whether you can see it, but how are we going to eradicate piracy? It's something I've always said. Issy, how are you going to eradicate piracy? Stop buying it. Stop buying pirated stuff and you'll see how it gets eradicated. Because the one selling it keeps producing it, so to speak. Because there are people who keep buying it. And it has nothing to do with piracy per se. And for me, from my point of view, it has nothing to do with piracy per se. It has to do with people's ethics. If you go and buy pirated goods, you are encouraging piracy to continue to exist. So try to be aware, and in that way, you'll also value what you do, because how would you feel if someone did that with what you create? Here
it is, guys, and putting it into perspective as end users, as entrepreneurs, or as businesses, solid businesses are built on what, guys? About integrity, professionalism, qualities that impact how our clients perceive us and you as users, especially as technicians. If you have a business like this and you install Windows, you need to be professional, lead by example, because more than anything, here I am a consultant and I share the knowledge we have, but it's also up to you to take that knowledge and put it to good use, because there are many people who, unfortunately, take certain advice or concepts to do bad things. And in the end, believe me, life comes back around. It can hit you in a really good way, yaoi no, or it can hit you much harder. So guys, when it comes to piracy or using activators, nowadays we have a lot of tools to boost a Windows installation, but do you feel good about that? Are you happy with that? Why not tell your client the truth? Say, hey, you know what? Look on the Microsoft website. I'll do the installation for you, configure it, optimize it, and the licensing is on the Microsoft portal. Buy it, and I'll show you how to install it and link it to your email. You earn a recommendation.
Of course. Victor, and everyone should see it from the perspective of your work, your knowledge. You invested in your studies, your learning, you bought books. However, you learned what you know today. What would happen if you present, and this happened to me, you present a quote to a client where you obviously showcase your credentials. I'm certified in Windows Azure. I have the certification in infrastructure. I have the knowledge. I'm certified through it. I'm recognized here. And then someone comes along and says, oh, I also have my degrees from Santo Domingo Este, but instead of, I don't know, $5,000, I'll do it for $1,000. Would you like someone to take that business opportunity away from you? Does someone devalue your knowledge? What you've learned? What you're worth? Here's an example. It's a story. I mean, it's not real, but it's a story where they tell you, hey, there's a machine in a factory that's part of the production line, and stopping that production line costs millions of pesos a day. But the machine isn't working. It's making a lot of noise and not producing the product. They call a technician, they call the electrician, several come and charge you $1,000 for each visit. Another one arrives and they start talking to the factory about that machine. He arrives and the other technicians took 2-3 hours, a whole day, and they couldn't get it running. The technician arrives, says, okay, perfect. Stays quiet, listens to the machine. And after 2 minutes of listening, he opens his toolbox, takes out a screw and a screwdriver, goes behind the machine, and that's it. And then he says, okay, perfect, it's working now, great, awesome. The bill comes in, $1 million, and you didn't even take 3 minutes to fix it. Okay, let me break it down for you. Screw $1, knowing where the screw goes, how many turns I need to make based on the sound, the knowledge I have, 9999. Indeed. With security, updates, and everything that original software provides, that's what you're investing in.
A good friend says here, guys from the community, that legal software not only protects your business, but also your integrity as a person, as well as your reputation and professionalism as an entrepreneur. Choose what's legal and reflect a commitment to authenticity. And it's true, guys. Just like that. Luis Pelosa, an invoice for $1,000 for a screw. Exactly, guys. Okay, so enough of saying, and my good friend Ruben just told me behind the scenes, we need to say things as they are. Alright? Exactly. The pirate, what's legal is illegal. But there's also that part, because many say, Victor, but then modifying isn't bad. No, Ruben already told you, it's not bad. Microsoft gives you the tools to use it for your purpose. And you could even get into the developer area for yourself, for your consumption, for your product, for your service. But for you. And it doesn't mean that just because it works for you. Oh, look, I made an ISO that I want to share with you, that I modified. Okay, if they're maybe doing the same thing as you, it could work. But how much better would it be if you could teach them? Depending on the field you're in, how to do it. Instead of just selling them a tool or a modified Windows. At the end of the day, each person, like every human mind, has their own perspective and logic on how to implement things. But be careful with that part. Don't lose your ethics. Don't lose your professionalism. And don't say that my Windows is better than Microsoft's own. That's never, guys. It's even somewhat ridiculous at a certain point, and it sounds silly, and I apologize for the expression, but why? How can something be better than what someone conceived, than what someone created? How many quality standards are we talking about for a version of Windows to be released to the market? No one asked the question. And that's what...
Let's move on to belief number 3, guys. Sorry, I added a little more water to the Coca-Cola, and my Coca-Cola is better than the original Coca-Cola type, and I sell a better Coca-Cola than the original. I don't understand the modified Windows. I understand that it can be sold because maybe, in that aspect, it's like, okay, I made a modified Windows for special software. I developed software that runs on Windows, but the modified version because it has APIs. It has libraries that I developed. Okay, if that's a system, I don't know, let's say a point of sale. Perfect, but it only runs on that modified Windows because it has special libraries that are integrated into that version of Windows. Is that valid? Can I sell it? Yes, but as you also say, it's better than the original. It's not designed for another purpose. It's not because it's better than the other. It's not designed for that. It's different. You can't compare it. It's like saying, I added, I don't know, an extra button to my car, and it's better than a Formula One car, right?
Yeah, okay, let's get into that topic too. Robert, it's great that you say that. It may seem like a lie, but 80% of the planet has cracked Windows. We don't know for sure, but look, that ties in with what we're about to discuss regarding belief number 3 and everything we've talked about in this stream, guys. This belief number 3, oh man, guys, I've come across this topic this week and last week. It's better not to update Windows to avoid compatibility issues. Well, Ruben, from your perspective, brother, How do you see that?
Look, that belief has existed since Windows 7. We saw a lot of the transition from Windows Vista to Windows 7. It was very noticeable. The issue is that it's not compatible. It's just that my machine and my camera don't work anymore, of course. But also remember that it's an operating system and that the camera manufacturer also received that version to work with so that their camera could update libraries, or the camera software could also update libraries. Updating isn't about making your equipment incompatible so that you have to buy more gear to make it compatible. No, it's not about that. Updates are about protecting your equipment, keeping it more compatible with other solutions. But what do you think? Hardware manufacturers also have the obligation or the commitment, more than just a commitment, to keep developing. Imagine if today you still said, no, my camera is one that works with Windows XP, but it doesn't work with Windows 10 anymore. Of course, the libraries change, and if that camera you bought didn't update its software, didn't update the libraries, then obviously the camera isn't going to work. But it's not just about the Windows updates, it's also about the updates that the hardware you're adding to your machine needs to have.
Guys, you saw it. Just like that. Watch out, this is evolving, guys. There are tricks, there are ways to make things compatible right now. Well, for example, what's been happening a lot in Windows 11? Hey buddy. It turns out that Microsoft imposed certain requirements on us, but I see that there are some things on the internet to bypass them, to do the so-called bypass. It's going to work the same. Well, one thing is that I can bypass the requirements and install Windows 11, but whether it works optimally, well, that's a different story. Right, Ruben? In many ways? Okay, Jace. So regarding that, yes, there are ways. Here, for example, on the channel, we have a video that we're going to upload. I think today it was published today, guys. It was scheduled since last week, but that video got delayed. On how to get Windows 11 on incompatible machines, directly using the methodology and tools provided by Microsoft. There are some commands to bypass on incompatible machines, but keep this in mind. You're tricking. You're playing a joke, but not on Microsoft, on yourself. Because that's like self-deception, right? That, well, look, I've already bypassed it. I have Windows legally, however you want to put it. But that doesn't mean it won't fail tomorrow. But why? Because Microsoft has already set certain standards. That's why, as we've said, in this case, we have Windows 10 that expires for next year, right? Ruben, we already have the end of support for Windows 10. What alternatives do we have as end users, as business owners, as companies? Well, those are other matters, but...
Yeah, but those are other matters that don't have to do with Microsoft, that don't have to do with the system. At the end of the day, every device, every software, every gadget has an expiration date on its updates. Now, it doesn't mean that just because I'm not going to update it anymore, I'm not going to send you updates. It will just stay there, automatically open up and become vulnerable. No. The only thing that will happen is that it will no longer receive new updates. But you can still use it. Of course, you can still use it. It's protected. Of course, it's protected. But the belief in that aspect is, oh, if I don't update it, then it's going to be left vulnerable and the end of support is coming. Yes, they won't send you updates anymore, no. But you're going to have a secure, stable, and reliable operating system because it's the original one you have installed.
Speaking of updates, guys, because they're also telling me, hey Victor, you see, I don't update so that it doesn't remove the KMS Pico or ban the patch. Well, no, that's different, buddy. Do you want to stay illegal in the shadows? Obviously, any security update is going to mess up your vitamins. Of course, that's more than clear, brother. Of course, it's the ecosystem. Microsoft has to maintain a certain line of updates. See the updates, guys, as a constant improvement. Like when we do a business, an undertaking. We will always look for ways to innovate and be efficient. The same thing happens with Windows updates. It's a way to improve the system, evolving it. If you stick with what we have at first and how it was born, well, there we have a point. And we are going to tie it up with a question that the good friend here says. Let me tell you something, Ruben, and it ties in very well with the part about updates and Windows at the end of support. There are many technicians who, even within the Windows 10 line, right, are seeing it as a holy grail. They're looking at it as an escape route. Like, okay, I have until 2025. I have less than a year before Windows 10 expires. But there is the LTS Enterprise version of Windows 10, including a specific one called IoT Enterprise, which has official support until 2032. Would you advise the end user, or the business owner, to migrate directly to this version to have more extended support under licensing?
Of course. Yes. Let's see. Again, it will have more support. It will have more updates, but it's not the same version. It doesn't have the same functionalities. At the end of the day, the LTSC has less functionality than the Enterprise. Let's put it that way. No, it's just that, how can I put it? I mean, the full Enterprise, so to speak. LTSC is a type of license that is indeed a legal license. It is sold, of course, but it has limited functionalities.
Besides, the one I'm telling you about, for example, the IoT, is aimed at the Internet of Things segment, the edge computing part, but also the development side. So at that point, I tell a lot of people, no, yes, go ahead, I can install it. Hey, Victor, I see that right now that's also becoming very trendy in digital stores that are selling versions where you could only get an enterprise version through the Microsoft 365 subscription portal or through some subscription within the Microsoft ecosystem. Right now, we're seeing that there are licenses available in these digital stores for less than 15s or 15s, and you can pay for a so-called perpetual version or license, and you end up with an LTDC, but it wasn't designed for the end user. It wasn't conceived for that. So, well, you tell me, Ruben, I feel like they're playing with it. It's like having that, that brand new car, but you put all kinds of aftermarket parts and generic pieces in it to make it work like a Beetle. And in the end, what kind of stability is it going to give you on the road? There are many things that don't fit, guys. And yes, it can be a turning point, it can be a lifeline. If you want, but how far is it going to save you? How long is it going to hold the air pressure? How far is it going to crash?
It's like we were saying earlier about modified Windows. It has a fixed function. If I created my modified Windows for a point of sale, it's for that. The Windows LTSC for IoT is for an IoT function. It has a fixed and established function. It's not meant for you to use it in an enterprise segment like a daily use machine. It doesn't have that functionality. It has a fixed and established purpose.
And well, with this, Ruben, let's move on to this belief because it ties in very well with what we're saying. This belief number 4, which I was discussing with quite a few friends and colleagues, also you guys, those of you in the Discord group, and hey, join this big one, Rubén Colomo. We're leaving his social media links down in the description of this stream. Follow him. The truth is, yes, don't be afraid to ask, to make any inquiries. Really, firsthand. Is there something that Rubén has that's very independent from the part, let's say? What happens? I have been involved with component people, with digital strategists, who sometimes see some of us as being far below. And with Rubén, believe me, he's a friend. This man has an incredible humility. Trust me, if you ask him questions, he will respond. And he will do it in a good way and in good faith, because he wants you to grow. He wants to see you succeed. He did it with me, Rubén. Just because I might not be, let's say, nobody yet or don't belong to a big business group, doesn't mean I don't know. Guys, join this revolution and check out his book. It's amazing. It's amazing, really. It is impressive. And it's digital, guys. You don't have to go to the bookstore anymore. It's digital. You can buy it right now and start reading it.
That's right. Thank you, Victor, for your words. It's an honor. And as you say, the issue is not, and yes, indeed, something that's not about assumptions or anything, but something I really like is helping. One of the great things about my big passions is how to help others grow, how to help them evolve. So it's not about, oh, you're Carlos Lim, so I listen to you, or you're Chuchito, the one with the cotton. No, for me, all human beings are equal. And if you're obviously willing to learn, then I can guide you. If you're willing to grow and willing to let yourself be guided, of course I'm going to do it. It's not a matter of, oh no, I won't work with you. No, I work with all the people who are also willing to let themselves be guided, because of course there are people who are not willing to let themselves be guided, who say, wow, how can I help you? If you don't let yourself be guided, I can't help you.
If you let yourself, Rubén, help me help you.
Exactly. I'm happy to help.
Well, before we get into belief number 4, guys, and Rubén, also picking up on a topic that my engineer friend Socrates mentioned, who is also an admin in that area. Rubén, from your experience, where can I find the list of partners for Mexico or Latin America to check licensing and obviously support the community so they don't fall into fraudulent hands?
Go to the Microsoft page for your country, Microsoft Mexico, Microsoft Colombia, Microsoft Peru. Go to the Microsoft website and look for Microsoft partners there, what they always have published, who their partners are in each country. Go in and search for it on Google. Put in Microsoft Colombia certified partners there, and it will tell you who they are.
I can also show you on the little screen right now if you like. We'll look for it at the end of the video so you can see where, guys, it's also another of the little things that unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't even know how to say it anymore, in terms of these generations, how difficult it is for us to read, how difficult it is for us to search, guys, how difficult it is for us to search for that part of first throw away all the filters, guys. Now we have another super tool, which is artificial intelligence. It's already there. It even searches through the web. Just ask ChatGPT and believe me, it will respond with the official sources from the portals. That's good too, guys, but we need to dedicate a little time to reading. Okay, now, speaking of that, before we finish, Rubén, I was being asked about this. Hey, it's awesome. Victor is asking me here on Facebook. What's up with this part of LTSC? We already saw that it is aimed at a certain segment, a certain user, but then why do many content creators see LTSC as the holy grail of gaming? Because they say that LTSC is much better than Windows Pro, that it has all the DLLs, that it has all the performance aspects for gaming or Xbox. Because LTSC is described as the fifth wonder of the world, and it's what Windows should have been from the beginning with this platform, because you just said it, it's specifically for gamers.
What? Because it's a lightweight operating system that won't run business applications. It will run applications for gamers. It's lighter. Yes. Why didn't Windows do it this way before? Because Windows wasn't designed for gaming. It was designed to be a desktop computer, not for gamers. What's going on? It seems that there's a market, besides the video game consoles, that still uses games on a desktop operating system. They say, let's release a lightweight version that doesn't consume resources so that the resources are used by the game. So it's designed for that, to be a lightweight system, focused on gamers. You endorse which version of LTSC is good? It's beneficial for the gaming community, for the functionality of gamers, because it doesn't require processing for business tools, so to speak, or home tools, like Office. No, it's designed to be light on its resources, not to consume resources, so that what consumes resources is what will run on top of the operating system.
So, in the end, my dear Rubén, you're saying something because they say, hey, your friend just said something really important that he just mentioned. A good friend of mine just told me, his name is Lucas. Hey, so that means we have an official Windows Lite and it's called LTDC. As such,
It's a Windows Lite license. It's not a modified Windows. One thing is Windows Lite and another thing is modified Windows. They are two different things. Let's not confuse them. It's like Windows Home Edition and Windows Enterprise. They are two different things, focused on different functionalities, different resource usage. The same thing is happening now with Windows LTS.
there he is, guys, the Dad Owl Sergio. Welcome. Now, as a businessman, guys from Mecha Power, a big shout out to my good friend Dad Busqueda. By the way, I wanted to say hello from Spain. Hey Dad, what time is it in Spain?
Oh my god. Because it's 7 hours ahead over there. It's 1 a.m. Hours ahead? Hey, what's up, dude? Greetings, Dad.
Our good friend Dad Owl has us sponsored. He has a server over there in Spain. So we can do some lab stuff that we've shown to the community. So, well, I really care about it and I wanted to see this show, and if I don't catch it, I'm going to stay up all night. I want to see who Rubén Colomo is. I want to see... There you go, Dad Owl. We're bringing you in. Well, now, guys, it's 1 a.m. Guys, so you can see. So reaffirming the LTS part and everything else. Rubén, belief number 4. Yes, modifying Windows improves performance.
We're back to the same thing we've been talking about. Depends on what functionality you're going to modify in Windows. Paul Watto, remember that you're going to modify Windows to install your software? To make it lighter? Sure. But obviously you also have to consider other factors. Like security, vulnerabilities, not leaving any gaps for malware. Modifying it for what purpose? Really, why are you going to spend time modifying it? To start, I'll ask that. What do you want to modify Windows for, Zome? What's your goal in making a modified version of Windows? Because you're going to create special software, okay, go ahead. Because you're going to make a point, go ahead. You're just going to modify it to lighten the operating system. And what are you going to gain from that? The only thing you're going to remove, okay, you're going to remove functionalities, you're going to make it lighter in use. But what do you think? By making it lighter, modifying it to be lighter, you might be removing functionalities that worked well in a traditional complete version. You're taking away features. At the end of the day, modifying it to make it lighter means you're removing things. That might cause Office to stop working, or Photoshop, or AutoCAD, or I don't know, different software, or maybe it's not just about removing things, adding certain features for various users could make the system more volatile and unstable.
So guys, pay attention, and here Rubén is telling you modifications can give that feeling or illusion of a somewhat optimized system. But just because it's modified doesn't mean it's more reliable than the official and original version. No. Just like in business, not every superficial change improves the real value. Right, Rubén?
No. Totally. Just like that. Just because you modify it doesn't mean it's going to work better. Or worse, not at all. I mean, it doesn't really go one way or the other, but it's like saying, hey, you buy a car. I often use the example of buying a car. Hey, let me take out this spark plug and put in this other one. Maybe it will work better for you, but you might end up breaking it because you changed the spark plug that was special for that car. Put diesel in a gasoline car. Let's see what happens to the engine. It's cheaper diesel, so go ahead, put it in and see what your car does. You modified your car, right? Isn't it going to work? It's going to blow up because you put something in it that wasn't meant for that. Take off a tire and put on a bicycle tire and see if it works for you. Because the bicycle tire is cheaper than the car tire, it's not going to perform the same at all, guys.
So here, our good friend Rubén puts two terms into context. And I think he is making things a little clearer and dispelling those doubts, guys. Modifying what is not the same as optimizing. And as Orta Salvador says, modifying doesn't mean it's much better supported, better configured, or better optimized. No. Watch out for that, guys, with those terms, because they might seem similar, but there's a huge gap between them.
They are interconnected.
Yeah. But a lot of people say as long as it's optimized, as long as it's modified, it's better and it's better optimized. No, no, no. It's one thing to optimize, it's another thing to modify.
I can optimize my computer without needing to change the system, or I can optimize an application simply by managing the resources, asking it to have less brightness. I mean, optimizing the battery doesn't mean I modify the operating system. I'm modifying more features of the system that it already has to lower the brightness, but to make better use of resources, but I don't have to modify it. I don't have to change it to another version. I just need to adjust it. Optimizing, as they say, is the difference.
Is that there? Okay. All right, let's dive right into belief number 5, okay? Because it ties in really well with all of this. I'm telling you, believe me, we are leading you on with everything you've asked here on the channel, with everything you've told me, guys, what you've seen on other channels, with other influencers and so on. I think this is going to give a boost to what things really are, to what is just smoke and mirrors. And it's ugly. Unfortunately, it's ugly, but that's the harsh reality, and we have to say it as it is. What is tangible, what really is, no matter how much you want to cover. The sun with your finger, you just can't look and take. In belief number 5, there's a topic that's going to connect with 2 things. Rubén, one, a lot of people are saying that any software works on any version of Windows. But, well, we get into a lot of guidelines, a lot of angles, right? Rubén, what do you say about that?
Yeah, so any software works on any version of Windows, right? And it's not just about the software or Windows. It also has to do with the hardware you're installing it on. What resources does that machine have where you're installing it? What libraries does it have? If you want to, it's that simple. Try putting Windows XP on a new machine today, a brand new one with 8 GB of RAM and everything. And then on top of Windows XP, try to install, I don't know, Photoshop 2024. It's not going to work because the libraries aren't compatible. That's why they keep getting updated too. Put a Logitech, okay? Camera on Windows XP. It's not going to work. Put a camera that worked with XP on Windows 11. It's not going to work because it doesn't have the drivers, the libraries it needs to function because the updates have stopped. What do you think? Not only did Microsoft stop updating that operating system, no more hardware manufacturer. Updates for that hardware. Otherwise, we would still be using the same hardware. We would still be using printers. I don't know. Those that made 20,000 noises back when they were laser jets. Yeah, we could still be using that. They have also expired. They expired in their driver updates. To use one of those printers, you would have to, for example, like I mentioned before we went live, it would have to be a virtual machine running XP where you connect that type of printer, where you connect that type of software. These days, for example, my laptop, an HP, doesn't even come with a box anymore. If I buy software with a box, they don't even sell the software in a box anymore. Now it's sold in the cloud. You already download it. All right, exactly. Let's see, now use a verbatim. It has to do with that 5, a quarter. It has to do with the operating system. Nothing. The 3.5 tone has nothing to do with your operating system, whether it's XP, Kapayim, or Windows 11. It has nothing to do with the operating system. It only has to do with the hardware. It's compatible. If you have hardware that can read it, it will read it for you. I swear it will read it for you. if you had that hardware.
And guys, you see, it's not that we have to say it, my friends, in all its letters. It hurts us. It hurts us. I also have my grandfather, for example, who would tell me, it has sentimental value. I say, yes, Grandpa, but we need to update ourselves. I'm sorry, I really am, but we have to keep up with the times. Speaking of that, Ruben, and following that line, there are currently some enthusiastic projects. I told you about some crazy old interfaces from back in the day of Windows. But hey, you who are also part of development, you are a strategist and still are, obviously not so much anymore, maybe in the Microsoft ecosystem, but yes, in the digital part, you know all about the graphical interface or this concept of legacy graphical interface like pixel by pixel EFI. Do you know about that ecosystem? What is it about?
No, buddy. Because that part isn't right either.
Because I'm putting you in context, Ruben. Look, what happens here is that, and we are doing it as a laboratory mouse, it is honestly one of the hobbies in my free time. When life gives us the opportunity, the community here also knows it. We're creating those versions where we're giving Windows 11 an interface like Windows XP, Windows Vista, or Windows 7. But we've realized that just like there's old hardware from the legacy ecosystem, there's also graphical interfaces of that kind. And that legacy interface was in Windows 7, Windows Vista, and XP. In Windows 8, that hybrid part started. We had a legacy ecosystem and we had infrastructure or EFI graphical interface. And we're seeing that when bringing those old functionalities or that Windows 7 interface to Windows 11, it feels lighter, it's faster. But what do you say? Even today, we are still under a technology in terms of EFE, perhaps very precarious. That is why it feels very heavy, despite having so many GB of RAM memory, so many hertz in processing, and the legacy technology of old Windows works even better. That's why gems like XP or Windows 7 are so great.
Look, it could be a topic more than just the legacy itself. I think it could be an emulator topic. And that's what Windows 7 had. It emulated an XP. It emulated XP? Why? Because there were still applications that didn't run on Windows 7. So what were you doing? You were emulating XP. To have an XP machine that could run those software programs, emulation obviously consumes more resources. And it can definitely slow you down. Why? Because you're running two machines within one. Did virtualization help? Yes, virtualization also helped. However, it also needed resources. You had a virtual machine in Azure with Windows XP to run applications that worked on XP. I even got to see my good friend Raul Guerrero, who I also sent a shout out to if he's watching, the Good Warrior. He was emulating Windows on an Apple. He had his Windows operating system running in a virtual machine inside a Mac. Why? Because virtualization is what allows you to emulate systems. It takes up more. Yes, it also takes up. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen this part working, right?
Yes, but it could. It resembles very well. Yeah, Ruben. It resembles a lot because, and we also become, since virtualization came along, it was a very practical outlook not to have to partition our storage units to do a dual boot, a triple boot, to be able to interact between different operating systems, being able to interact with each other in terms of data transfer or metadata. He came to present a before and after of virtualization. We became more productive.
Totally.
And right now, that trend is also being adopted by young people today in how they handle Macs, Androids, Chromebooks, Windows, and how they can open them just like a window in Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. Just that simple. It came to do something unprecedented. It's something magnificent. And the truth is, yes guys, here comes the boss. Isa, here comes the boss. Here it is, she's supervising, it's the behind the scenes. Here comes the boss. Here comes the boss.
She's the producer of the show?
Right now, she's acting as the switcher, right boss? Come on, you can call. Come on. Ale. So that's the point, guys. Ruben. With this, it's worth it. And we move directly into the belief number 6. And they say, what brought us here, Chencha? as business people, as entrepreneurs, as digital strategists. And well, there's that point. Let's see. And many have told me, Victor, Windows Server and Windows for users are the same. Only Server is more powerful. And to make myself feel bigger, that's why I put Server on my stuff. Exactly. Rubén, an explanation of why Windows Server is designed for businesses and how it's different from end users. What would you say to those people?
You see, those are two totally different things. Because Windows Server is not just designed for businesses. It doesn't mean that if I have a business and I have my desktop PC, I'm going to install Windows Server on it. That's not what Windows Server is for. Windows Server is designed as an application manager, as a network manager to distribute load, to work with heavier software, with more robust applications for the business. But your desktop is still a Windows desktop and Pro, Home. Yes, but the server has another functionality. It is not to work as a desktop machine because it will consume more resources, but it is also designed for something else. That's why there are different versions. That's why you have one detergent for dark clothes and one for light clothes, because they have different functions. Just imagine washing your light clothes with the dark detergent. Good luck with that. Of course, it's the same thing. Windows Server has specific functions for working in a network, for operating in a business, in a corporate environment on a large scale, so to speak. Windows Pro has features to work better on a network within a business. And Windows Home has the version and addition to work on a standalone PC. That's why there are different versions, because they have distinct functionalities. And that's it.
Of course, guys, that's why what Rubén says is true. Windows Server, guys, is specifically designed for environments. Okay, specifically for IT directors or tech leaders in a company. Like a central brain.
That's Windows Server, a central brain. It's like you say, but they work the same. Okay, so why do you buy a car or a truck? Buy a trailer. It also has wheels. It also takes you places. It brings you back. It's the same. Well, no, it's not the same. That trailer is designed to work and function for carrying cargo. While a car is meant to carry passengers, the dad says it's like going in a Ferrari to pick up firewood in the woods. Exactly. That's a really good analogy too.
There it is. I mean, Chito says, yes, how did you manage to integrate Xbox into Windows XP in one of your previous videos? That's it. Lorta Lola. It's just that, well, it's not XP. It's just a shell. But it's interesting. Anyway, guys, it is indeed a myth. When an influencer or someone tells you that Windows Server is a more powerful version than a stock Windows. Well, the truth is that it's not. It's powerful, but it's aimed at a specific audience. It's directed towards the right client for that version. If you're just a regular home user and you're not going to centralize anything, then using a server is just unnecessary. Moreover, it's way too much. So guys, the truth is, at the end of the day, we have a lot of requests regarding Windows Server, the Elite version, the modified version, the optimized version. We went through, if you noticed in this short amount of time, many of the scenarios with Rubén, and I'm telling you this from someone who worked for Microsoft, understands the ecosystem, knows how it behaves, but also knows very well, because of the vision he has and because he has trained a lot of people, that you shouldn't get stuck in the past. That you don't have to. I understand that we all loved XP so much. I get that those shiny 256 megabytes of memory will never come back to those times. But things are different now. And that's where my good friend asks me, I'm going to ask Rubén. And let's see. I'm curious to know that, and I think you guys are too. Rubén, if you could build that time machine, that contemporary part, and you could go back to when you were 17 years old, unlike other people, who I think asked the opposite. What would you tell your future self? I ask you the opposite. What would you tell your past self? Do you like how you are? Are you doing it right? Let's see. Answer it, my friend.
What a great question. My friend, what a great question. What would I say to my past self? I mean, not to my future self, but to my past self. I would tell him to enjoy the journey, to stop suffering like he did, or well, like he's supposed to suffer. Enjoy your path. It's great that you found your passion from that moment on. Keep following it. Trust your instincts because you're doing it right and your learnings today have brought you to where you are. Exactly. That's it, Rubén.
That's all, folks, without thinking about anything. How wonderful. No, it's just that, if you've noticed, guys, whenever we're asked in an interview, especially by recruiters, how do you see yourself in the future? How do you see yourself evolving? But what if they tell you right now, in this present moment, in this time and space, to look back and ask your younger self if you're doing it right? What would you change? Or, is he doing it right? Keep going, there's a reason we're here. It's really great, guys. Honestly, it's something amazing. So, guys, to dive right into the questions and wrap up the streaming. But before that, I really want to thank my good friend Rubén for sharing this conference with us about the 4 powers of success in business and, well, how he came to spread it to so many people. How is this part going with you?
Look, what a great question, too. Thank you so much for this space to talk about the 4 powers of success. As you know well, those who already know me from my career, as we've talked about Microsoft, Samsung, you know that I've dedicated my whole life to technology, to the digital side. But for the past 6 years, I've seen and discovered that technology, well, it's not a discovery. Technology is a tool. But I've seen it as such. Technology is a tool that will give you access, that will help you speed things up. But speed up what? Speed up your business. Yeah, but what is your business about? Well, it's about products. Yeah, but who does it speed up, the product or you? So, okay, there are tools that speed you up, but what do you think? The world has changed too. The world is no longer about sellers. Today, the world revolves around buyers. And who's going to buy from you? Because people no longer like to be sold to. Will you agree with me? Will you agree with me, Victor? Do you not like being sold to anymore? I don't like being sold to. In fact, I can assure you, we're connected here, or whatever they give us. I can assure you that if I come up to you and say, hey, Victor, hey, Dad, hey, Juan, look, I'm selling you insurance. One response could be, thanks, I already have it. Another one is, I'm not interested. Why? Because you're selling to me, you automatically lower the curtain, so to speak, because we don't want to be sold to. We want to buy, and we're going to buy from those we trust the most, from those we empathize with, from those we believe in. Because Zig Ziglar says, if they watch you, they'll follow you. But if they trust you, they'll do business with you. You want people to do business with you if you have a business. You want them to trust you? So that's where this conference with the 4 powers of success in business comes in. And we often think, people tell me, oh, so it's about the powers your product or services have. No, it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with you. What do you have? And you have, I have discovered in all this, in the methodologies I have seen with my mentor, the studies I have been conducting, what I have realized is one thing. For people to connect with you, you need these 4 powers. What are these 4 powers, Victor? First, it has to do with service. If you are treated badly in a restaurant, do you go back to the restaurant?
No, not at all.
You don't go back, right? Even if the food is exquisite. If you receive bad service, you don't go back there. So what do you have to do? Offer good service. And service is not just, here is your plate, here is your glass. No. The service has to be proactive. What can I offer you? I understand your need. I care about you, about offering you the service you are looking for. Not what I want to offer you, but what you are looking for. So I offer you quality service, attentive service, a service where I identify with your need, your pain. And that service will allow me to establish a long-term relationship with you. It will allow me to have you trust me and recommend me. Has it happened to you that you go to, I don't know, a barbershop or a salon? And you don't just go like for a haircut to see what they do. No. When you connect with a person who cut your hair well, who colored it well, you make an appointment with that person. Why? Because they provided the service. They found and worked on your need. So the first power is the power to serve. The second power has to do with active listening. Hearing is not the same as listening. It's not the same. Listening involves other senses. Listening also, although many say, oh, well, listening is with the eyes. No, you listen with your eyes too, because people speak to you without speaking. If you were me, I have been speaking to you without speaking with hand movements. I tell you things with my voice, my tone of voice. I'm telling you things. It's very different for me to speak to you with my hands crossed here as if with fear and tell you it's just that you see windows and then the power is different from the connection. If I want you to connect with me, if I want to connect with you, I have to listen to you actively. To what you have to say to me, not what I have to say to you. In order to offer you my service, I have to detect why you need that service. Not because I want to sell it to you. And that's what active listening is for. There's an analogy in that aspect that I love. It's a meme. Not even an analogy. It's a meme that you probably haven't seen many times. Some maybe, because it's an old meme. A 5-year-old child arrives with his mom on a Sunday night or Monday night, one night. Mom, tomorrow I have to go dressed as a beaver. The mom says, as a beaver? Okay, as a beaver. She spends the whole night making his costume. And she stays up late, the child wakes up, she puts on his costume, they go in the car, and the child starts the beavers to the shepherd. It was shepherd. But what happened? The mom didn't listen. The mom heard what the child wanted, she didn't validate, because active listening also involves validating with questions. Hey, let me see if I understood you. Hey, let me see if I'm correct. Let me see if I'm getting your idea. If the mom had asked, let's see, why as a beaver? The child would have explained more, and she would have realized it was shepherd, not beaver. And she wouldn't have stayed up late as she did. But that is active listening. Listening to your client is not just about the words, it's about what they don't say, and involves you asking the right questions to see if you understood the client well and can offer a quality service. So, that's where the two powers come together. The third power, it has to do with your passion for what you do. I swear, you don't react the same way. When you're doing a job you have to do, compared to one you are passionate about doing, your energy is very different. The way you convey it is very different. And the way your client perceives it is different. Or the person in front of you can tell from a mile away when you don't like it because you don't offer a service, because you don't listen to your client, because you don't like what you do. Oh, I'm going to become a waiter to earn money. What do you think? Your turnover will be very high. You won't last a year or two as a waiter because you didn't like it. You got into it for the money. If you do things for money, you will tie yourself down. You won't. You'll end up abandoning it because it's not money that should drive you. Money is a consequence of doing what you are passionate about. Money is a consequence of doing what you like to do. And while money can also be a consequence of going to work 10 hours of your day, of giving away your work, of giving your time to someone else, why they pay you as you are giving your time to someone else. And I'm not referring to the corners of, I mean the power work as an employee of someone else. I'm not going to interpret for you, well, that's the third, the passion for what you do, because passion also conveys, listening also helps you in service. The fourth power is the one that very few of us have or very few of us do. You go to courses, you train, you read books. Yes, amazing. And you say, oh no, that knowledge is incredible. But my business is not successful. And did you implement what you learned from the course? Oh no, but the knowledge was amazing. But no, I haven't implemented it. The power is in taking action. Take action, execute things. If they stay in your mind, that's great. You acquired a lot of knowledge. But where did it end up? Why did you take it? Oh, I took it to learn. If you took it to learn, mission accomplished, you learned. If you took it to learn and have a successful business, then you missed going from here to there. Take action. If you don't take action, you won't get the results. If you're like a waiter, following that example, who says, I'm going to offer good service, but you're just standing there with your phone. You're not even going to see if the table needs anything. You're not offering quality service. You're not listening to what they wanted. And you're not even conveying that you love being a waiter, or a builder, or a teacher, or orchestra conductor, or consultant, coach, whatever job you want. It's not about demeaning any of them. On the contrary, each profession, each trade has its necessary reason, and each person does it. If you do it out of passion, I congratulate you. If you do it for the money, think about whether you really have a future there. So these four powers are what will give you exactly that. Obviously, the making lasts longer, right? And I do exercises and dynamics and everything, but here, let's say, broadly speaking, those are the four powers that will propel you as an individual in the job you're in the business you have, in the venture you undertake, in your home, in your family, with everything. These four powers, they are useful for business, but they are also useful for your life because they are powers you have, and it depends on you to develop them.
Thank you. Follow Rubén Colomo. Follow the good friend Rubén Colomo. It's worth it. And not just for the simple fact, and he just mentioned something fundamental that we are experiencing in these times, and it coincides with what we were just talking about off camera with the good friend Rubén. If you want to dedicate yourself to what we are doing here, if you want to inform, if you want to be a good communicator, a good mentor, a good teacher, you have to follow these four powers, but with ethics, with professionalism, with truth, with veracity, with resilience, being responsible in terms of innovation, adaptability, and authenticity. With what you and the good friend Rubén have just shared with us in summary and broadly speaking, believe me, you will have a lot of success, not only in what you undertake, in your businesses, but also in your life, in your daily life, in your being, in your person. Because it really is that when you dedicate yourself to a passion, believe me, the word work, or saying I'm working on my passion, becomes redundant. Because you enjoy it, you relish it, and that's what we're doing here together with the community, with all of you guys.
That's right.
Unlike other people who unfortunately, right now I have the reason to be, we have three roles here. The role of communicator, but I'm there, I take that, and especially in these volatile social networks. Alright? I'm a communicator. What a streaming? What a streaming, my friends? What a live stream. I hope you liked it, guys. It's a live stream, very different from what we've seen in streaming, with certain guidelines, certain timings. What a wonder to inaugurate it right now with this section of the great titans here at Ultron. Here we have a titan, a super titan, our good friend Rubén. Wow, Rubén, hey, can we get your book right now? No problem, nothing falls through. I go, hey, and then I have the digitized part.
You can get it through Amazon. There you search for Militar to Libertad on Amazon. It's a book available through Kindle. I also have it in PDF format. If you want to download it digitally to read, not necessarily with Kindle, but on any PDF. A PDF reader, you can download it. Well, you can acquire it at librodigitalizatolibertad.com. The book is available, therefore, acquiring it is 109 pesos. It's not a high amount because what I want is to encourage. I want to encourage people. I could say, like many books out there, well, the book is 250 pesos, but no, I'm not interested in that either. I'm not going to become rich or poor then because of the investment in that book. What I want is to offer that book at 119 pesos because it is accessible. It has value, of course, because it should also be appreciated. What is conveyed there? But in the end, what I want is for more people to be impacted, for more people to not only read it, but take action. Because I also made that book timeless. I wrote it with timeless topics. It applies to any year of life. Right? And I'm saying this so you can also use it as a reference book. You read it and everything, and then you can go back to consult. Oh, look, what was this about? Let's see, let me check. Of course, I can use this here so you take action. That's also what Leo is designed for. Take action.
Like a good grandma's recipe. Huh? Exactly. From A to Z, that's all.
In fact, there are 7 steps. There are 7 steps to yours can take your business. The 7 keys to maximize energy, time, and experience. Because as I tell you, it's not just about technology, it's what surrounds technology. It's your energy as a person. It's your time. How you take advantage of it, how you optimize, how you automate, how you systematize, and how you transform your experience and knowledge into a digital business. And the book, sorry, I gave the wrong link. They're going to crucify me in the chat right now.
It's the
Book? Pointesabiduriadigital.com. I changed it. I mean, it's Militar to Libertad. It's a Sunday too because that's the name of the book. But I currently have it hosted in the company. Sabiduria Militar is the company, let's say. It's my business as such, so it's Libro Sabiduria Digital. There is the book Militar to Libertad.
Anyway, I'll leave it in the description in the comments of the streaming so there's no issue and you don't end up getting it from Chuchito on the corner for more expensive or more exactly digitalize your freedom, Chuchito. That's the point, guys. Watch out, watch out. Hey, and that's a good investment, guys. Successful for you. If we sometimes have money to buy snacks and a Coca-Cola day after day, hey, skip a week of Coca-Cola. A snack for something that can nourish you intellectually and enhance you as a person. And here you have it. Well, guys, I think with this we are reaching the end. The good friend Salvador says while reading. That's why I say I'm not going to work. I'm going to play. It's been 20 years at my job. Also, Salvador, that's great. That's super successful. Jorge, excellent live stream. Really, it's brilliant. Jorge, thank you very much. Nico, we're almost done. Militar Perez, greetings from Uruguay brothers, greetings from Aztec lands, from what is here the Mexican part. And guys, today, we have, well, not debunked, it could be said that it was a feedback of beliefs, myths, and truths. And you have already learned the principles that can really help you as an entrepreneur to make better decisions, both in the proactive and active part and also within your Windows editions. Did you see what a glorious mix? Hey, wow. Good one. Ruben, wow. Thank you for sharing your experience.
It becomes very short. Thank you so much for the invitation. Honestly, it went by so quickly. We've been going for 2 hours and the time flew by like water. A thousand thanks, truly. Thanks to everyone who joined. Thanks to everyone who will also watch it in recording, replay. But as you say, what I hope is at the end of the day, first, thank you for the invitation. Also, thank the entire community. Congratulate you on those 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. May there be many more, yes. But also, if they took something from this about changing beliefs, breaking with beliefs, working ethically, be empathetic to the journey. It's never about you. Be empathetic. Would you like what you do? Someone to give it away to someone. Devalue your efforts. Think ethically and professionally about what you want for what you offer. Because at the end of the day, this is a wheel. It turns 360 degrees. And how you do it to someone today might come back to you. So do good without looking at whom. So it also comes back to you.
Excellent, Rubén. Thank you very much for sharing the experience. And to each of you guys, to each of you, for joining us, don't forget to subscribe to the social media of our good friend, Rubén Colomo. For more valuable content, Gustavo, thank you for subscribing to Ruben's channel and follow him, guys. We'll see you in the next episode, which is going to be glorious. I'll give you a little spoiler. The next live stream is going to be interesting with a special guest as well, discussing Windows editions and later the evolution of Microsoft's interfaces. It's going to be good, guys. Don't miss it. Ruben, a hug, guys. A hug. Take care. Goodbye.
But the meat is tough. A lot of sauce.